In this video, I'll be walking you through the MFM website. For those of you that don't know, MFM, or Mimo for MATLAB, is a software package for simulating multiple input, multiple output communication in MATLAB. So on the home page of mimoformatlab.com, we have at the top announcements where, in this case, version 2 has been released. So we have announcements here on the home page, a quick about, an email for questions and feedback, mimoformatlab@gmail.com, which you can use for bug reports, questions, feedback, suggestions, and the like. And then down here we have a git clone command to access the MFM Git repository, or you can visit it at the GitLab link there. If you do use Mimo for MATLAB, I'd appreciate it if you could cite it for multiple reasons. We'd like to see, where its reach goes, what applications it's being used for, and things like that to kind of help track Mimo for MATLAB and its different applications. Down at the bottom, we have a few references on Mimo communication. One's on a textbook by Robert Heath on Mimo, and then one's just an overview of signal processing for millimeter wave. Okay, so then we have 4 main links here. The documentation link will have documentation. It's probably the most used section of the website. It contains documentation for all of the objects in MFM. So we can see we have, and they're sorted here by alphabetical order. We have the array object, channels, and then recall that the different channel objects are subclasses of the channel object. So those subclasses are listed below. And then if we click on the array object, for example, this will include documentation for the antenna array object. We have its file name listed here, which contains the array object definition, and then we have some navigation for this page. So it begins with the about. We have a video tutorial hosted on YouTube, which is embedded here on the web page, and then we have the many ways to use the array, create it, view it, and adding elements, and all the fundamental things done with the array object. And then at the very bottom, we have a list of its properties. So this is automatically generated from the MATLAB code. So this will always have the most updated list of properties and list of methods. So along with next to each method, you can see it's got a description of what that method does, and each of these you can click on and it will take you to the actual documentation of that function. So for example, if we go to array.getArrayGain, we can see it returns the array gain in a given direction with the current array weights applied. We click it, it takes us directly to getArrayGain, which again has that description there, how it can be used, its input arguments, and its return values. And then we can use these back to methods but clicks to get back up to the full list. It's got all these listed here. And if we scroll through the actual documentation, you can see we have this about section, which gives you some background information on the array object, video tutorial, how to create the array. So there's 3 different arrays you can create essentially with the create function, and it goes through each. So you can see a ULA, planar array. This shows you how to view it, and so on. So this is done on each of the different objects, and any math that can be used to help describe what's happening behind the scenes in MFM will be included to help the user better understand exactly what is being executed. So this is the first place a user should look if they're unsure about something in MFM. So if we go back to the docs, below all the objects we have a diagram depicting the structure of MFM and its objects. At the bottom, at the lowest layer, we have the array and channel objects, and we can move all the way up to the network layer. And this has been described down below. We talk a little bit about how MFM can be used, and then links to some of the guides we have, which we'll get to in a moment. Some clarifications on the 3D geometry that MFM uses, which is slightly different than the stock MATLAB 3D geometry conventions, and then a quick note on the fact that MFM does not currently support frequency selectivity. And again, there's always the MFM email up at the top that you can use if you need to ask questions, report bugs, etc. So under the features, this basically talks about some of the things that MFM was designed to handle and how it is preferable over existing options. Of course, simple linear equations like this that are foundational for Mimo research are simple to execute in MATLAB. I mean, MATLAB was built for linear algebra and equations like this, and so of course they're handled very easily in MATLAB. The problem is that if the complexity grows, or if you want to be consistent with how say generating channels or normalizing precoders and combiners and generating noise, etc., that sort of stuff can be kind of cumbersome. And so MFM's goal is to simplify a lot of that, especially when there's many users. So you have many of these different precoders and combiners, many different channels to realize, and you want to sort of abstract out some of those annoying or cumbersome lines and different functions that you must do in MATLAB. So also it talks about the different channel and path loss models that MFM comes stocked with. So these different channel and path loss models users can be confident in, and more and more are going to be added in the future. Talks about the different array capabilities of MFM and how it's important to note that these antenna arrays, the array object on its own can be used for a variety of applications beyond MIMO. In fact, plenty of MIMO does not even is not even centered on array technology or anything, especially when the channel does not have any sort of structure or correlations in it. For example, a relay channel does not concern itself at all with the actual geometry of the antenna arrays. So you can see that this array object can be used for many different applications beyond MIMO communication, such as radar, sonar, and things like that. MFM does support hybrid digital analog beamforming, so this is useful in millimeter wave, terahertz, and some massive MIMO settings. So there is support for this, of course, and then MFM can be used in a variety of ways. It does not have to be used to its fullest extent. Sometimes it's easier just to use it at the lower levels, as a channel generator or something like that. MFM is going to be continually improved and maintained over time, with the hope that users can contribute their own different channel models and path loss models, and as different models become common in literature or in research or in standards, those get incorporated into MFM over time. One of the cool things about MFM is that it automatically computes performance metrics. So like mutual information and symbol estimation error, currently it will automatically compute based on the current realizations and device configurations. So this is nice because then you don't have to remember or to type out those long expressions of mutual information, and if you're unsure if you're getting it right or if you're normalizing things correctly, or if you're simplifying it correctly. You don't have to worry about any of that. MFM will handle that for you. And in fact, readers of research that is built on MFM, so if people have used MFM in their research, those that are reviewing their work or are just viewing it due to their interests, they can be confident then that MFM handled some of that heavy lifting for them, and they can be confident in what they're seeing is in fact accurate. So then on the Getting Started page, as mentioned, users can download or clone the MFM repo to begin working with it. And then to set it up, it's as simple as just typing, mfm.setup in the MATLAB window. This must be done at the start of each MFM session. So anytime you reopen MATLAB, you'll need to do this. But that basically just sets the path of MATLAB to incorporate the MFM directories. So a first script you can run is the example one that is provided in MATLAB under the main/examples directory. And then on this final page, we have the guides, which there's going to be a growing list of these different guides included, which will basically walk users through how to use MFM in different ways and just executing the different capabilities and clarifying things in and related to MFM. So thank you very much. Stay tuned for updates on the website. It's going to be constantly changing, so the website that you view may severely differ from this video, but stay tuned, and thanks again for using MFM.